On this episode, I sit down with Angela Hill Goudy, and we talk about how technology can help your church grow. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Church Leadership Lab, the podcast dedicated to conversations that help empower healthy churches. We're so glad to be with you and to have another conversation that hopefully encourages you, builds you up, strengthens you, and helps you catch a vision for how technology can help your church grow. Now, before we jump into the episode, as always, I want to ask your help in getting these episodes out to more church leaders. So if this is helpful for you in any way, we'd so love if you shared it. Send a link to somebody, leave a review, however you would like to share this. We would ask you to if it's helpful, and so appreciate it if you do. Now, today I sit down with Angela Hill Goudy, and we dive into how can technology actually help the church grow. We talk about things like, what does a connection process look like using technology? How can it help with outreach? What does it look like to take somebody from looking for a church and searching all the way through to being a fully committed member? And so this conversation was so helpful. I love Angela's heart to reach more people. Ultimately, that's what her work as a church consultant, helping churches with technology, that's where it stems from. And you're going to hear that in this conversation. Now, Angela shares a little bit of her background, a little bit of her bio, a little bit of how she jumped into ministry and then ultimately consulting. And so we're going to let her share that. But we're so excited for this episode and really hope that this conversation is helpful. So let's jump into my conversation with Angela Hill Goudy. Well, Angela, thank you for taking some time to be on the Church Leadership Lab podcast. Excited for our conversation today.
Yay!
Now, we always ask this question of people on the show. There's always the public bio, but what's something that doesn't make the public bio that all your friends, all your family would know about you?
I don't think I've made this public because it's a nerdy thing, but okay. I'm a total Star Wars fan.
Nice. From
the 70s, okay? Like my mom and dad took us all, and that was when you could bring food into the theater. My mom fried up the chicken.
Those were the good days.
Popcorn. Those were the good days. And when I first saw those stars and the music, I was cooked. I'm a Jedi Knight. People don't know that. So, and my kid, I have a 5-year-old, and I'm trying to encourage this, and she loves Grogu. So I'm good.
Well, yeah, now they have stuff for the next generation, right?
Exactly. And she loves it. And my husband, he loves something else, but he's like, oh, you got her. I was like, I sure do.
That's awesome.
So they know that about me, and I love Game of Thrones as well. Those are my 2 shows. And looking forward to the next options that they have.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, the conversation we're going to have is going to be about all things technology and connecting people in the church. And you have a long history of doing that, and not only doing that yourself, but consulting, helping churches, and even beyond that, nonprofits in doing that. So can you give us just a little bit of the background on your experience using technology where you served in ministry?
Okay. I am a PK. Us church people know who those are. We are the known who can do everything in the church, from the before service being the janitor down to leading people to Christ and baptizing them outside.
Yeah.
So I'm a PK. I started organically with my parents doing mail outs, things of that sort, learning processes. I know that's what my mother as administrator was teaching me, was pouring that into me, learning processes, figuring things out. So it just was natural for me. So after attending college, I came back and went back to work for my father, Bishop Ronald C. Hill, and my mother, Mrs. Hill, out of Loving Unity Christian Fellowship in Compton, California. We're inner city church that started with 5 adults, 6 kids, and now we're at 3,200 in membership strong.
Awesome.
So, and my tech experience was just tinkering. I guess I was part of the generation that first got emails, and I did open the email for a long time. I was first when Facebook came out. I was like, I opened up account account, but didn't really deal with it till later. So I'm a part of that generation. I know I don't look a day past 51, but I am. I know. I come from good stock.
Yeah.
So I've been tinkering in it for a long time, learning processes and learning from making mistakes, things not working, and changing up, and then changing platforms through that learning process, and finally landing on a platform that I just totally fell in love with and haven't left. We're in a relationship that will last forever.
Yeah.
So, and just utilizing that in the church, and then eventually stepped out on my own to do consulting with churches. I love to focus on small to mid-sized churches. I feel like the big ones, y'all got it. But the small to mid-sized, they're still trying to find out their niche.
Yeah.
You're supposed to win people to Christ. You're preaching the gospel. You're helping people grow in their spiritual life. But churches have a niche. They have a culture. And so I try to figure that out for their churches. I do secret shopper, go to their services, see what's working, what's not working, and give them suggestions on things they can do. And definitely tech is something a lot of small churches won't step out into, or they'll do this app, that app, this app, when they can all have it under one house.
Yeah.
So that has been my experience, officially full-time doing it since about 2006.
Yeah.
And so now stepping out, and then now I just recently jumped on with a nonprofit. It was my first time doing a complete nonprofit using one platform, and people have just been blown away by its capabilities and what it can do. So I love using tech for church ministry. I love keeping it organic and not be so techy that we kick Jesus out of the message.
Yeah. Well, I think it's so important because, especially you said small to mid-sized churches, there's a high need because you don't have, a huge staff and tons of resources. You don't necessarily have those things, but you still have a lot on your plate, a lot to do in ministry. But it also is challenging sometimes with a lot on your plate to actually have time to investigate and figure out, how can we use technology to do this better? How can we shave hours off of our week? How can we automate processes? So I love that you kind of focused on that, because a lot of times it does require somebody to come in and say, hey, did you even know that this is possible? Did you know that there's a better way? And so I just love that heart. And I guess the question is, have you seen kind of that impact in helping say, hey, technology can save you time, and more importantly, give you more time to do what matters most?
Yes. And it's funny, I was meeting with a group of, I guess it was like 40 pastors. And one thing I said that finally got a lot of their attention, because you want to kind of lean on your tech people or your secretary or your finance team to kind of listen in on these sessions. But I said, hey, if you use a certain platform, it's going to save you money. And they're like, what? And it will. I say, even on health insurance, you can hire 3 employees, but why not hire one, program everything out, and you're good, and save and be a better steward of God's money? That gets their attention a lot.
Yeah.
So it's utilizing this and encouraging them to step out, do it. It is needed. Don't forget it, because the small church needs to be here. Okay. Every church is not going to be a mega church. Everyone's not going to go mid-size. The small church still needs to be here, but why not operate on a mega church level when you can, and you don't have to have that storefront mentality in your effort of connecting people, following up with people, being Apollos, winning souls to Christ, and not just leaving them out hanging.
Yeah.
Operate on that level. People will see it. Sometimes churches are just created to be a go-through station for you to just receive Jesus Christ, so you can have more focused discipleship. And then some people just outgrow that and say, hey, I'm going to go over here. And it's okay. Leaders, pastors, they're not your members.
Yeah.
It's not your kingdom. Let the birdies fly so that they can keep growing. So that they can keep growing.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, that's so good. Now, I know we're talking about technology in the church, and obviously as technology grows, changes, innovates, and even as culture has changed and shift, to where now you can't really find too many people who are like, no, I've never had an email address, or, we are living firmly in a digital culture. So I'd love to
except for those people who still have AOL accounts.
I know.
I don't understand it.
I don't either.
And if we're talking to you, come on.
We love you.
Let it go.
We love you. Praying for you. But let's start here then, because we know it's so important for the church. Let's start before even people step foot inside a church or the gathering space, wherever it is. What have you seen as the importance of a strong digital first impression? And then how can churches do that well?
Okay. Of course, this starts website and social media. We all know that. All of us know that. I tend to, though, still want to make an organic effort, still tying in a little tech. So like I'll plan a Super Sunday. And this is a Sunday that all the members that haven't been there in years or still can't make it back to church after COVID or whatever reason, they can't come. Or you want to win someone to Christ and you just haven't felt comfortable or the bravery to do it. You want to invite them to this service. So I'll do this with some of my clients. And this is a Super Sunday. We want every seat fulfilled. But what I do, though, is I do print a card. But then I do a QR code on that card so they can't organically pass it on and have something in their hand. But then here we go with our phone to pull up whatever's on that QR code, whether it's a form, whether it's a video invite to help that person be able to share, hey, we want to invite you to our church. And it's simple to do a video on your phone. It's so easy, and it's easy to even get that done, translate it to YouTube or whatever platform that you want to use and get it done. And it can be, not spend a whole lot of money on it. You don't have to have a 4K camera to get that done. Yeah. So utilizing organic, I know some people like tech. I want a green campus wherever I work. That is my focus to eventually get there. But sometimes you need that organic touch. And so I never want to forget that we tech out that organic or tech out the God out of things. So churches can utilize that to do invites for big events, for a small group. So we know small groups are so needed, or we call them tribes in some of the ministries I've worked in. So people can feel a smaller group so they don't feel overwhelmed with the numbers, that they can feel like they're a part of a smaller church body. Yeah. So the church can use organic uses and tech and bring them together so that your older people won't feel left out. And then your younger people still think you're a little hip. You're not leaving anyone out. And I think that's a main thing some churches miss, of trying to tech everything out and forget that Jesus walked with the people.
Yeah. Well, that's so important because like you said, it's about the people, and ultimately technology is a tool. If we're looking at it as any other way, as saying this is, the primary thing. No. It's a tool that's going to help accomplish the mission.
Good.
Now you need to know then, how do you use that tool well? Like if I really need a hammer for something and I'm taking a pair of pliers and, that's not what that tool is made for.
That's good, Scott.
and so you have to know how to use the tool, but it's so important to call out that it's not the end all be all. And if you use it properly with a human touch, with still some physical, whether it's cards or signs or QR codes, all that stuff, it can have a really powerful impact.
Yes. And people still feel loved. Yeah. Sending a heart meme, a meme. I text out memes to some people who are missing, and they're just like, thank you. We love getting those, but just designing one and a free platform to do a flyer. Some people, they want to hire this graphic artist that can't afford it. There are so many free platforms to create a flyer and send it out to people. You don't have to, you can still be a good steward of God's money and still get the word out about your ministry. Yeah. And if people will learn about your culture of your ministry, the diversity of your ministry, you can do all of that organically and tech wise as well. And no one feels left out. And some people, you can look at the ministry and tell, do I want to go there? You might not want to come to a church in Compton because it's too many Black people for you. Or I might not want to go to Orange County because I feel uncomfortable. But if I can show that my band is half Caucasian, Hispanic, Black, the audience is mixed, then I will feel comfortable going there because they feel comfortable going there. And again, you're using tech to show that in social media, showing that on your website, show that on your graphics, that you are a diverse community. And in some community, they're just not diverse. And it's okay. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah, that's well said. Now, I'd love if we could do this because we talked about the importance, of technology and keeping that human touch. So we've established that, but I'd love to look at the technology piece.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you a question. I'd love for you to answer it thinking about one, the churches who aren't really using tech for this process at all. And
Okay.
two, the churches who are, but maybe can strengthen and improve a few things. So the question then is, how can churches use technology to take people from searching, looking for a church, exploring the website, all the way to, hey, I'm fully plugged in as a member, in maybe a small group or serving or giving and all of that.
Yes. First, we all know those who work here. We're going to throw out words to you: engage, content, follow up. Those are all so important. And so engaging people and just giving an anticipation. Why do I want to go here? Can you answer that question? What you're putting out organically and what you're putting out in tech. You have to build up an anticipation of why they should come to your church. So we're engaging on social media, on your website, of course. We have your QR codes. People are getting t-shirts done everywhere. You're getting your videos done. I have a church I'm working with. They're about to do the freeway billboards, the electronic ones. And then they have their QR code that they're using from their platform. So if in LA, you're going to be stuck in traffic for a minute, you can actually put your phone up and get that QR code information. But you're building up the anticipation. What do I offer? And this is what consultants have you do. Find out what's your niche, what can you offer to the community, and then make people anticipate about being a part of, oh, they have this, they have that. Sometimes you can have too much. Sometimes you don't want to tell everything, but at least 3 things that you do well.
Yeah.
Focus on those 3 things that you do well and that you can explain well and then express it well, whether it's graphically, whether it's visually, whether it's with a flyer, a video, whether how you follow up with them. It is important to keep that going. And then you're dealing with 3 different audiences. You're dealing with unchurched, churched, and unsaved. Those are 3 different groups. So you have to learn how to communicate differently to those 3 groups. Because you have your church transfers. They already know about church. They know what time to get up, what time to be there.
Yeah.
They already know you got the different ministries. So how do I intrigue them to come to my church? Then you have the unchurched. They know God, but they're not really into it at all, but they're trying to find, because they know the time is winding up. So let me do this. But then you have those that are unsaved. They need to be discipled. And so you have a 3-person avenue of people that you need to communicate with. How do I do that and not leave any of those groups out? So that's how you do. You build up that anticipation using your tech to get them there. Then you have your follow-up. You got to follow up them. Once they come in that door, we all know, we all got that formula. Whether you do it 6 weeks, 9 weeks, 12 weeks, some people do 9 months because they say it takes 9 months to have a baby. Go for it. Do it. Do what you got to do. Do what works for your ministry. But follow up with people. I find so many churches do not do that. They think they're so great that the people are going to still come because you did such a great presentation. They're going to come on back.
Yeah.
No, we know if people don't make a friend or get attached to somebody in that ministry in the first 6 or 8 weeks, they're not coming back.
Right.
So let's make a connection, and you do that. Invite them to small groups, invite them to a special service, or invite them to come sit with you, come have coffee with me, whatever you have to do. And then make sure those people in those ministries like people. Because we're finding a lot of people in leadership that are in ministry or in church don't even like people. They just like ministry. So you have to be careful to pick the right people that will represent the church, God, and the leaders correctly.
Yeah.
You can tell when you walk in a church and you feel love, that's coming from that leader, because that leader is a lover. And when that leader loves, he loves his leaders well. They love their workers well, their volunteers well, and they will do the same with every person who walks through the door, who texts people, who sends an email. Their communication is the same, and it speaks love and it speaks God.
That's awesome. Can you give people a little bit, cast a little bit of vision for how tech specifically helps with this process? Because some people might be hearing that and they're like, oh, I want this. This sounds awesome, but what is it? How does it actually help? You know what I mean? Can you dig just a little bit into, hey, there's tools that will automate this or schedule this or do this
Got you.
for you. Like just kind of help people just to give a little bit of vision around here's what could be.
Gotcha. So from the time someone walks into one of the churches that I deal with, there's going to be a QR code there. That QR code is going to either be on a screen or it's going to be on a little sign on the desk. Welcome to so-and-so church. I sometimes do, hey, have a first-time guest card. Either call you a guest or a visitor. Every church is different. But have a sign there for first-timers. Because a first-timer, they don't know where to go, usually, unless you've taken the time to do a walkthrough of your church, to put on the website to let people know where they're going to be going. But if you haven't done that or you don't have the capability, they know, oh, there's a sign for a first-time guest. You utilize tech to do a QR code and get their information in. Okay, so you have your first time guests. They're using their QR code. Some will receive an automatic text right away. Welcome to so-and-so church. We can't wait to fellowship with you inside the sanctuary. That's done outside, okay? I tend to tell churches, here we go with organic, mix it in. If you want to do the little gift bag, everybody wants to do the gift bag. Give them their little gift bag. If it's got a granola bar, a mint, whatever, the water, because everybody apparently needs to eat when they get to church. So I'm like, does everybody come to church hungry? I mean, come on. But some people do. So you get that done, okay? You can have a platform that utilizes a workflow. And a workflow is just an automatic system that's set up. So if I have a person to come in, automatically they receive their first text. They can receive another text that evening saying, hey, thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed service on today. Or you can have it set up to have your follow-up team to call them on the phone. Some churches have Sunday night service. Some do. So we'll do certain churches that have Sunday night service. I say, hey, have someone to call them and say, hey, thank you so much for coming. Hey, we have Sunday night service tonight. Do you want to come out again and meet me at this place so we can sit together? Okay. Once that is done, by Tuesday, they're going to get a real call. They're going to get an email. You send another text and invite them to your Bible study. And our workflows with your platforms can follow up with people for 6 weeks to 9 months, however your system want to be and how many times you reach out to them. You set that. You set your culture. If your culture just, you're going to do something every week, okay? Yeah. But if your culture is more laid back, you may just want to invite them for a special event, or you have an artist coming to sing, or you have a life group that's starting, or you got a potluck coming up. That's when you want to invite them to come. So using a platform can help you with your communication. So you won't have to have 10 staff members calling and following up, or you have people calling from home or calling from their personal cell phone number, which I don't think we should ever do for plethora of reasons. Yeah. But they can call from the system that you've had purchased, that you subscribe to for your church, and they can use that one phone number and they call back the one phone number so that you can follow up with people. You can use it when people are go missing. Some people, they don't feel comfortable saying, hey, I'm sick, or my car is out, or I'm depressed. I'm depressed, and that's why I'm not coming to church. No, people don't know. Some people feel so special when pastors are like, hey, I missed you at church. And people say, oh my God, I feel so special. He saw that I wasn't there. Let me tell you a secret. We're creatures of habit. We usually sit in the same section every time, either the same seat, same section. When a pastor glances, he don't see you in your same section. That's why he missed you. Yeah. But using tech, you could actually find out when people aren't there. So you can run a report and say, this person hasn't been in church for 4 weeks. How do I know they haven't been there for 4 weeks? So this is something I do at churches. This was a great idea from my mother before some platforms we used had it. We, instead of, remember back in the day, they had the forms, the clipboards, and you filled out your name for attendance. So now we utilize either they can use a check-in system. You can use your envelopes and put, if you're not giving that week, teachers only get paid once a month. Some people get paid every 2 weeks. They're not going to pay their tithe, or they're not going to give an offering every week. Just fill out an envelope and say present. And that way your staff can mark you present. But when you haven't done that for 4 weeks, then the system will set up and say, hey, Megan hasn't been to church in 5 weeks. We need to set up a follow-up. Yeah. And with this work through, once you set it up, it's automatic. So you don't have to have all these staff members and you spending time calling people personally or texting them personally, but you're still reaching out to them. Then you get to that point in your workflow and say, hey, they do need a human being to call them. Hey, let's follow up. Or they respond to you and say, hey, I'm depressed.
Yeah.
And then you have your worker book. I use a couple of them where you want depressed. Here's some scriptures for you. This is how I can pray for you. And let's nurture that member back to health.
Yeah.
And bring them in. We can use tech to be a discipler assistant to help you to follow up with people. So you still being organic with it, which I never want to tech out discipleship all the time,
Right.
but they need someone to touch them. But tech can help you utilize that to do exactly that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'd love if you could just kind of give a little bit of encouragement for churches that feel like they can't do this, they feel behind with technology. Like, what encouragement would you have for them today?
This is what I tell small churches that they say we need help. Like they're not growing, they're a little stunted, and of course we're still using the COVID excuse. So I try to encourage them and say, hey, when it's time to, but this is a thing to do when I come in and do secret shopping. I want to see how your service is.
Yep.
Are you encouraging people to win people to Christ? Are you encouraging people to invite people to your church? And I'm looking at the leader for that. I'm really looking at the leader to set the tone for the ministry, set the tone for the other leaders, set the tone for the volunteers. Because if the leader isn't leading in this, you're going to have stunted growth.
Yep.
So I'm going to lean on looking at that leader, looking at that pastor and see how they pastor. Now, I know we're torn in Christendom about this when pastors say, hey, it's your job to bring them in. I don't agree with that. It is all of our jobs, all disciples of Christ, including the leader, to bring them in. And how can you teach people how to bring them in when you don't bring them in? It's not just about the four walls.
Yeah.
And our church has to get back to getting outside the four walls and win people to Christ. Everything I do, that's what it's about. And then we go into discipleship. So I encourage small churches. Now, please remember, the small church will always be with us. The mid-sized church will always be with us, but we want you to operate on a mega church level. Do not be afraid. There are some platforms that have thought the process through. They have been conscious of pricing to be able to help you that, okay, if you only do these many files, this is your price. When you grow, then now this is your price. Because when you're growing in numbers, you're going to be growing financially.
Right.
You're going to be growing with guests that are coming, with visitors that are coming. And that's going to be more. We're in ministry. But we need money. We need finances to do ministry. Yeah. So it adds to your ministry when you have more people to visit, more people to come, but you got to give them a reason to do it. So using tech will definitely, I've seen churches have 10 people in Bible study. And when I come in, they have 40 people in Bible study in the first 3 to 4 months.
Amazing. Because
using tech, people forget. We're so busy with our lives. And I know pastors get frustrated, leaders get frustrated. They're not coming. They're busy. Yeah. And we know the great falling away was coming. So what is our job? Our job is to do a better job of communicating the message that we all need to go to church.
Yeah. Angela, this is so helpful. And I feel like there's probably a lot of people listening to this who are catching a vision for what could be. And hopefully it's the beginning, right, of entering into maybe a season of changing some things, adding some things, learning some new rhythms, but that ultimately leads to more fruitful ministry. So I so appreciate you sharing this. Now, one thing we love to hear, this podcast is about empowering healthy churches. And so one of the things that I'd love to just hear, in your opinion, what is one essential component of a healthy church?
A healthy leader. A healthy leader, and I think we chatted about that earlier. We can get so caught, and I'm coming from a PK. I'm also a licensed minister. They made me get it. I'm a licensed evangelist missionary. So I think a healthy leader creates an atmosphere for a healthy church. And I'm going to use a sample of my father. And if it grosses you out, it needs to. We can't keep eating this spiritual food, feeding it, and not let it out. If you keep eating natural food, and you don't expel that from your body, you're going to get sick.
Yeah.
You're going to need a visit to the doctor. And the same thing with spiritual food, spiritual matters, spiritual life. If the pastor, you're teaching, now I think a lot of pastors get caught up in the series. I'm only studying for the series. This is the next series, but they're forgetting to spiritually feed themselves. And then they're forgetting to expel it out. And not just in those four walls. You have to expel it out at the restaurant. You need to expel it out and witness at the cleaners.
Yeah.
You have to be a light. And I know Christendom, we don't always agree. We say, hey, my light should shine. Yes, your light should shine, but your word should shine as well. So a healthy leader creates an atmosphere for a healthy church so that we can all love God, love people, be that example in leadership. And then it trickles down. It's the easiest thing to see when a leader is loving, their members are loving.
Yeah.
If a leader's concerned about souls, the members will be concerned about souls. If the leader wants everyone to be friendly with each other, which is simple, the people will be friendly. But that's when you have a healthy leader who understands that they cannot forget about their spiritual walk for the spiritual walk of others. You have to feed yourself.
Yeah.
You have to read your Bible for yourself, not for the series, for yourself. You have to fast for yourself. You have to be concerned about your family for yourself. Because if you do that, your people, you the shepherd, they will follow after their shepherd.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I again, appreciate you sharing. We have a little bit more to go in the podcast.
Okay.
Before we do, how can people, if people want to connect with you, learn more, ask you some questions, have you maybe come and help them, how can they best get a hold of you and do that?
Okay. 2 ways. Don't fuss at me, guys. 2 ways. Facebook,
Yeah.
Angela Hill Goudy, no hyphen, Angela, middle name Hill, last name Goudy, Goudy, never cloudy with the Goudies. And then by email, thehillgoudies@gmail.com. And it's the THE Hill, HILL, Goudies, GOUDYS @gmail.com. Those are the 2 main places that you can reach out to me. And I can do this remote. I do it remote for churches. And I also come in. And also I have a team that I fly in from Los Angeles that will teach you about outreach.
Yeah.
They will literally come in, teach you how to win souls for Christ, and then actually take your church out to go win souls for Christ, to encourage us. Some people are fearful. They're scared. I don't know where that comes from. And again, it's our leaders are not teaching it, but I bring a team also in if you need help in that area, because there's enough souls to go around. We don't always have to do church transfers.
Yeah. No, that's good. Well, I'm going to share those links with people in the show notes so that they can just easily have that.
Thanks,
and yeah, just love how you're helping so many churches. Now, again, we're not done. We have what we call our final 5. So this is last 5 questions, but these are rapid fire. Okay. These are coming at you. The first one is this: what's one book that you'd recommend to church leaders?
Don't laugh at me.
I won't. I can't speak for anyone else, but I promise I won't.
Art of War.
Love it.
Art of War.
Awesome.
The reason, do I explain or just tell?
Yeah, no, go for it. Yeah.
And it's just a reason you know who your enemy is, you know how to plan, you know how to grow. The general, he had to have war campaigns. How did he plan to do that? He had to plan. How did those people, his army, just love him so much? Because he treated them like family. He treated them like sons. That's how they were so endeared to him.
Yeah.
Volunteers of your church, they'll be endeared to you. They'll be endeared with the purpose of the church, but you have to pour that into them. So I know it's a weird choice, but Art of War has really helped me in taking some of the chapters and converting them in regards to church ministry and leadership. It's a dynamic book. I know it's a strange one, but that's one I recommend for church leaders. And you'll understand. Take the time to read it.
Yeah.
I know it's not on everybody's favorite list, but it's a great book.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Number 2, what's the last thing you listened to, whether it's Spotify, Apple Music, whatever it might be?
Y'all forgive me on this one too. I'm so bad. I don't listen to Spotify.
Okay.
And I don't want to tell you what I listen to on YouTube because you guys don't want me to get saved all over again. It's really bad. And something might be wrong with me, but I love the murder mysteries. This person did this and how they figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably could figure out a lot of things that are happening because I've watched it so much. And I
Yeah.
blame my mother.
Oh, that's great. All right. I'm gonna love. I'm interested and love the answer, or love to hear your answer to this one. What's your favorite piece of technology or software?
Go laugh at me again. I don't really, I'm going to say I have a 5-year-old. Okay. She was a blessing. She was a surprise in my life. And I've fallen in love with ABC Mouse.
Yeah.
I tried Hooked on Phonics and she did not like it. And once we brought ABC Mouse in, she has just soared. She runs home to look at it. So for right now, that has been my favorite. That's my
Perfect.
favorite software.
I love it. I love it. All right. Number 4, what's a quote or piece of advice that has stuck with you over the years?
Change is constant. It's constant. All around you is constant and you change.
Yeah.
Even in marriage, my dad taught me this lesson. He said, we change every 7 years, every 6 or 7 years. That's why we have that 7-year itch, because we've changed. The husband's changed. The wife has changed. We have to reintroduce ourselves to this new mate. So change is constant. Tech changes, human beings change, the environment change. So it's constant. So some of us get frustrated or get fearful of change. Just know it's coming and be prepared for it.
Yeah. All right. Last one. What's one thing you'd like to communicate to our audience of church leaders?
And I believe we shared this earlier. Share Christ with everyone. Share Christ with everyone, not just in the church. Share it outside the church. There are people that will not go to heaven because you didn't take a moment to share Christ with them. And not just share what God's done for your life.
Yeah.
What did Jesus do for you? The fear has to be gone. We have to stop being afraid to be the sore thumb or to have people laugh at us. So what?
Yeah.
They laughed at him. I'll take laughter any day to win one soul to Christ.
Yeah.
And to know that they will not live eternity in hell, but they will have eternal life in Christ. Yeah. So let's do what we were called to do.
Yeah.
Let's not forget our call.
Yeah.
To win souls for Christ.
Yeah.
Love God and love people.
I love it. And you certainly exercise that as well, and how you help so many churches to do that better and better. And just love that that's the heart in which a lot of your work stems from.
Yes.
Is wanting to see that happen, see more fruit,
yes.
see more people come to follow the Lord. So we so appreciate you taking the time today to share, to hopefully paint a vision for people on what could be, to help those struggling, but also just to encourage people to step in, to use these tools to reach more people. So thank you for your time. And thank you to those of you listening or watching this. We're so glad to have spent some time with you. Again, we hope that it's helpful. We hope it's encouraged you. And ultimately, we hope that it helps to empower a healthy church. And so if it has, we would love to ask just a favor that you would share this with somebody who might find it beneficial. Whether you send a link, whether you subscribe, leave a review, a comment, all that stuff just helps to get these conversations into more church leaders' ears. So we certainly would appreciate that. We're so glad to have this time with you, and we look forward to next time.
This episode of the Church Leadership Lab podcast is brought to you by Ministry Brands, the largest provider of church technology software. Over 90,000 churches rely on Ministry Brands for their single platform solution that brings together all the digital tools a church needs. From online giving to websites to church management software and more, Ministry Brands is leading the way in simple-to-use, innovative solutions, all with the goal of empowering healthy churches. To learn more, visit ministrybrands.com.